welcome to this week's episode of Man, We're Too Old for This. I am your host, the Todd Father, and joining me,
CDL 113.
And the experience that some call Jason.
Alright, this week we're going to talk a little bit about the latest House of X by Jonathan Hickman, but don't get too attached to it because we ain't going to go too far. I read this week's issue. While I'm enjoying the overall story, that thing got plot holes in it. I'm sorry. He basically cheapened any value that he got from the last issue where they made the assault on the Sentinel base, and you had these high-profile losses: Archangel, Wolverine, Nightcrawler, Cyclops, Jean Grey, all died, taking out the Mother Mold. And then with this week's issue, they're all brought back using weird eggs and Proteus and Hope and Tempest, all basically, and the Cerebro that Charles Xavier is walking around with on his head 24/7. They basically Deus Ex Machina everybody back to life in one of the kind of saddest ways I think I've ever heard of.
Yeah.
But it goes, that's what you were seeing in the first issue where you see them hatching out of eggs.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, that was it. The whole To Me by X-Men, all that crap, yeah, it was their resurrection from the Sentinel base. And there's, the biggest plot hole is, if you bring Wolverine back that way, how in the hell's he got his adamantium skeleton and claws? Because that ain't natural.
Nope.
That's something that was done to him.
If you bring Cyclops back that way, he shouldn't have to wear the visor anymore.
Nope.
Because that would fix, if you're cloning him from his genetics, that fixes the brain damage.
Yeah.
Which is why he can't control his powers.
Yeah. You don't know if he can or not. You just know that Xavier sticks the visor on him, and that's just kind of it. You see him with his eyes glowing and stuff. You don't know if they're uncontrollable up under there, or if that's just the look he uses now.
Mm-hmm.
But yeah, the Cyclops thing bothers me. The Wolverine thing really bothers me because
that's a pretty obvious plot.
Yeah.
The Cyclops thing you might not think about.
Yeah, but the adamantium skeleton and claws, adamantium's not cheap. True adamantium is rare. Yeah, and Magneto can't create it. That's government stuff. Even when they gave Wolverine his adamantium skeleton back from when Magneto took it off of him, yeah, they took it from Sabretooth. Because Sabretooth was running around, had gotten fixed with it, and Apocalypse has them two fight it out, and basically the winner gets the skeleton. Well, Sabretooth lost, and then he takes the adamantium from Sabretooth and puts it in Wolverine. That shit just ain't lying around somewhere.
With enough left over to make that big sword that will reuse his death.
Yeah.
Because Sabretooth.
Yeah. Yeah, he had some extra.
But that also implies that Apocalypse can't just create the stuff.
No, he can't. Every time after Wolverine lost the adamantium, every time they tried to somebody tried to give it back to him, like Genesis was the first person to try to give him his skeleton back. Yeah, they took it from Cyber. Remember, Cyber had adamantium skin. And yeah, they Death Watch beetled his ass and took the adamantium from him to try and put in Wolverine. Showing the shit's rare. You don't just pick it up. You can't just make it,
Well, you can make it, but you just can't make it like that. You
can't just, because if you could just make it, everybody would make it.
Yeah.
They can't just make it. Governments have that shit.
Yeah, well, that's what I'm saying. You can make it, but you got to have all the proper ingredients. You got to be able to heat it to X degrees. Once it's done, you let it sit cool. Yeah, you got a block.
Yeah. There's molecular rearrangers involved and all kinds. But the trick is, everybody that deals in adamantium, it comes from a government. It's not, Tony Stark don't have adamantium armor. It comes from a government.
Yeah.
Governments have it. Even that Ultron gets, he always takes it from a government.
Yeah.
Now secondary adamantium is cheaper, but it also breaks.
Yeah, Hulk can break it.
Yeah. So, and then carbonadium is the cheapest version of that, and hell, it ain't really worth shit. You know, you might as
It's
well.
super, but it's not that.
Yeah, it's super, but it ain't. You know, it's not the good stuff. So, me and Jason were talking about that yesterday, and he brought up an interesting little tidbit about that. So I'll let you tell him.
We're up to now. We focused on the particular, House of X Power 10 storyline. But really, if you look back at the deaths of any major character, it's the same way. As soon as they die, you know they're coming back.
It's like a time clock. How long are they going to...
You have
Bing!
Wolverine's dead, turn over the hourglass. Or to quote Idris Elba, reset the clock.
Yeah.
And sometimes they have a reasonably decent explanation for how they're brought back. A lot of times it's just garbage. The trick is, you got a year, maybe 2.
Yeah.
When they killed Cap after Civil War, everybody immediately went, he'll be back by his next movie. By the time his next movie comes out, he will be back in the books.
He was.
Iron Man, 1, you knew he wasn't going to be gone very long. 2, you had the AI Iron Man running around, so you never really missed him.
Well, that was Wolverine because
Yeah.
you not only had Old Man Logan all of a sudden show up and basically be on every team that Wolverine was going to be on. They had X-23 running around as the all new Wolverine. Which,
That bothered me a little less because at least it's a character tied in. It's about like somebody takes out, Batman briefly, or he's got to go somewhere, and Dick takes over. You still know they're coming back, though. I mean,
Yeah.
in Wolverine's case, he was technically dead longer than usual for that sort of thing. But you
He
had
never-
50-11 knockoffs.
Yeah, but he never really win it.
Yeah. So
Because
you
like I
didn't
said, they just stuck Old Man Logan on every team that normally would have been just Wolverine.
Mhm.
Yeah, they just stuck him on there. To hell with the fact that if you read Old Man Logan, the last damn thing that character was
Yeah,
going to do
him being on the team
is get on
period
the
was
team.
kind of a plot hole.
Yeah.
I mean, granted, they may have taken the angle that he was going to try to stop what went down from going down.
Well, that's
Like every time travel.
well, that's the Dead Man Logan story that's running in his book now.
Well, in the first couple of issues of Old Man Logan, that's when he arrives in this timeline. That's the first that he goes out and kills 2 or 3 people because they were instrumental in killing, the start of it. And then it's like, okay, what now?
Yeah. Like I know Dead Man Logan. That was his thing, was trying to kill Mysterio because it was Mysterio's fault in the story. He was the one that basically tricked him into slaughtering the X-Men.
Yeah.
Never mind, Wolverine uses more than just his eyes.
Yeah.
You know.
Yeah.
Hey, you know
Mysterio's tape really should not have
At all.
At all.
at all. But in that world, basically the villains were ramped up and hell, they wiped out Thor and all
That's
that
true.
stuff.
You take Mysterio and his tech and you let somebody like Doom tinker with it,
Yeah.
or the Mad Thinker, or anybody other than Mysterio. Mysterio, well,
anybody other than Mysterio.
Mysterio is bright, he's a gadgeteer type, but he is a low tier gadgeteer.
Yeah.
Yeah.
He ain't on par with Doom or even the Wizard,
Yeah.
for that matter.
Heck, the Tinker.
Yeah. He's low tier and very focused on what he does.
But back to the deaths in comics.
Thor is an exception. He was somebody that stayed dead longer than expected without a bunch of knockoffs running around. But that's because after the Ragnarok story, the storyline they were going to do with the Asgardian artifacts landing and all these people being empowered by the different gods,
Yeah.
the guy that picked up Thor's hammer would be the main character. That whole plot line fell apart before they ever even started.
Yeah.
I don't know if they just realized this ain't a good idea. I don't know if the artist or writer bailed. I don't know how it fell apart, but they just never started that up. So you kind of wound up with kind of a double gap there.
I know as a kid, reading when I was reading books, the 3 people that you always said would stay dead: Uncle Ben, Bucky, and the original Captain Marvel. those 3 deaths in the books had weight.
Mm-hmm.
And slowly but surely, they brought all of them back in one form or another. And when they do that, it really, the Bucky thing, okay, I kind of see that, but bringing Uncle Ben back and the original Cap, that just...
Uncle Ben really only comes back when it's other dimensions,
Yeah.
or it's a temporary time,
Some.
a time travel story, somebody's rewritten history, or though that does not bother me as much because it's temporary. Then bringing Bucky back bothers me, despite the fact that Brubaker wrote a really good story doing it. I can stomach it because of how good Brubaker's story was, but it was still something that you didn't need to do. Over in DC, bringing Jason Todd back, which I realized was just one of the companies biting off the other. I don't remember who came back first.
I think Todd came back first.
Okay. Yeah. Either way, those were deaths that haunted their heroes. Now, granted, in Cap, it came up less these days, as opposed to who went out and grabbed an essential Avengers and read the story that he comes back in. He's got PTSD from that.
Yeah, he was.
It haunted him for a while. Where Batman, maybe just because it was more recent, the Jason Todd thing seemed to keep on him a little bit more. And you bring the character back and you just cheapen them. Now you got 3 or 4 Robins running around. So many Robins running around they're just using their own last names as their identities.
The Drake. Do not speak ill of the Drake.
Wow, I just met my psychotic evil
You're a
counterpart.
duck? Okay.
I just met my psychotic evil counterpart in this other world, and he's so cool. I'm just gonna take the name he used.
Well, that was not Tim's idea. It was everybody around him. It was like Wally and all them baby. No, it was Wally and all them going, you know what? That seems so cool. You call him Drake.
Yeah, now they're all,
that's
now they're all
true.
snickering in the other direction. I can't believe he did it.
Yeah. I'm just waiting for him to team up with the Jeff. What he does, man? Hell, put that shit in Teen Titans Go and have him team up with the Jeff. Listen, the Drake and the Jeff.
And back on subject though, the original Captain Marvel, it's always a fake out.
Yeah.
Or it's somebody dealing with the world of the dead. You had a Silver Surfer story where he was on I forget how he got there because I don't read Silver Surfer. I grabbed it because Marvel was on the cover. But he's on a world populated by everybody Galactus is eating. And Marvel. And Marvel don't know why he's there. Surfer can't figure out why he's there because he's like, I never met this guy while he was alive. Dude never fought Galactus. I don't know what's up. But that was in the world of the dead. During Secret Invasion, you had this big thing about it coming back, but it was one of these scrolls. But it was one of them that deep cover thing they did
really messed him up.
Yeah. He didn't realize he wasn't Marvel. And it was good enough that they scanned him. Reed Richards, checked him out. Was like, yeah, it's got to be time travel. Here's your cancer tumor. But it's at kind of the beginning stages, so. And eventually, either he starts to figure out that he's not what he thought he was, or he comes to the conclusion that it doesn't matter.
And that was
He's
it.
choosing to be.
Choosing
to be heroic.
That was it. Was even after he found out he was a Skrull, he basically went, "Yeah, to hell with this. I'm Marvel. I'm running with it."
Yeah, he ends up sacrificing himself by the end of the storyline. It was kind of that one storyline. In a story, an overall story, the Secret Invasion thing, we had a lot of your dead characters pop back up. Like Mockingbird, that's how she came back. They use that to reset a lot of people. Yeah. And he was kind of the fake out. Well, they're bringing so many people back. It's not shocking if this guy comes back.
They must be Skrulls. That one was.
And then when you start finding out, well, this one, and this one aren't Skrulls. Well, maybe Marvel's not as oh, there it is. I thought it was a decently done story. Though, like a lot of stuff in those big crossovers, it seems kind of pointless.
My thing is, like with your big characters, there's no point.
Yeah.
Cap ain't dead for long. Wolverine ain't dead for long. Spider-Man ain't dead for long. They don't.
You can kill a Gwen Stacy off every now and then.
Hell, the biggest damn story in X-Men, hell, during my time was Jean Grey. And that fucking story had weight. It had weight for years. It popped up a decade after she was dead. You'd still have it. You'd have something. You'd have an X-Men go, gee, that team, that all-new team, it bothered.
It was like the Bucky Jason Todd death, but it was one that affected the entire team as opposed to just the individual hero.
Yeah.
I mean, you had you had a story with Wendigo where Nightcrawler almost gets eaten by a Wendigo because when he's watching a sunset, and the sunset's reminding him of Jean, and he's basically asking God, how could you be so cruel?
And in response, he gets a Wendigo.
Yeah. How can I be so cruel?
You question me? Have a Wendigo.
Then become lunch. But the thing is, it had weight. Hell, it's cheap as hell. Oh, it's a character.
It's a joke now. I mean, Jean Grey specifically. Because it's like every writer goes, I gotta whack her. And then every next writer goes, I gotta bring her back.
Yeah, it's pointless.
You know, it's...
Well, hell, it's, like I said, though, it's pointless with all of them. Hell, you literally just had Cyclops and Wolverine come back from the dead before Hickman started his run.
Mm-hmm.
Well, I'm reminded of, I can't remember if it was in Justice League or in the Green Arrow books, but I know Green Arrow is at the funeral, at the cemetery, at a funeral for some hero that died. And everybody else is all sad, and he's leaned over against a tree, and they're like, this was your friend, and Green Arrow just kind of looks down at his watch. He'll be back.
Well,
he goes, I've died 3 times. I'm back. He's died twice. You know, it's like
you had
a Superman where Superman is really just Superman and a preacher at Metamorpho's graveside. Superman's disappointed about how few people showed up. Preacher's like, I'll keep coming back.
Well, you had a Batman story with Bane where you had Duke Thomas talking to the other Robins, and they had a hand raised of how many people at the table had died. Because it was like, well, we'll listen to Batman, we get killed. And they were all kind of like, well, how many people at this table? Because you had one of them going, I died, my back. How many people at this table have died? That was a joke. Hell, Nightcrawler's funeral. You have Colossus basically go, we come back so often, maybe Kurt will come back someday too. You know, you literally had Kurt teleport from heaven.
Technically, he's not back from the dead, though. He's more like an angel that's come down.
No, because he can't go back. It made him...
Well, that's a lot of... Watch a lot of your kind of guardian angel stories where they get too attached or something. Most of them that come down...
The trick is it made Kurt functionally immortal. Kurt is like that. It's when he chose to go, okay, I'm leaving heaven. Yeah, heaven won't take him, and he's too good of a person to go to hell. So he is now functionally immortal. You had a storyline where he teleported, you know, he did a blind teleport and ended up teleporting halfway into a mountain and lived. He manages to teleport himself out and then sits there in agony as his body knits himself back together because he functionally cannot die.
But what you've got there now is, it's happened so much, it's so cheap, there's no emotional impact.
You're jaded.
That even in story, people are starting to joke about it.
The characters are jaded. Yeah, what the hell.
And it was amusing. The first time somebody kind of hung a hat on it, it was kind of amusing. Now everybody does it. It's just kind of, it just adds to the cheapening now.
You know, well, when the characters are jaded to it, the readers are jaded to it, the writers are jaded to it,
then there's no point in doing it.
Yeah. And that's the truth.
There's no emotional impact. It's not making your story deep. It's not adding anything because everybody knows it's just an effing joke.
And that's the trick. Is when you read House of X, what was that, 4, and you're like, man, this is hardcore shit. But you knew as soon as you saw who they were killing, you were like, yeah, right.
They're gonna fix this.
They're gonna fix this shit. Now,
this entire story will be one of Moore's lives.
Yeah. How stupid is it gonna be? And now that you know that they can resurrect people, because you got a write up in it where hell they said Krakoa can resurrect 200 people in a day, doing that kind of shit. And the only thing is the 5 mutants that it takes to do it. It's taxing on them.
Mm-hmm.
Well, death now and that is just completely cheap.
Yeah.
and if you want to do more than that, and you can
Well, it's cheap. The
Yeah.
whole damn thing is cheap. The next time they go, we sending the X-Men on a suicide mission. Who the fuck cares?
Yeah.
Who cares?
But what I'm saying is, you got those 5 that it takes to resurrect a person. Okay. Clone and duplicate one of them. Duplicate all 5 of them. You got 5 of them over here. That's a group resurrecting here.
And that's another issue that comes up if you can do that.
Yeah.
Well, we can dump a copy of their brain into the clone body. It's just them. Cool. We got a suicide mission. Let's send 5 of each of them.
Yeah.
Why do we just need 1?
Yeah. And that's
We're about to be fighting a war. Let's have an army of Wolverines. Let's have an army of Cyclopses.
hell. Let's have an army of Proteus. You know, it is cheapened. That's no sacrifice. It's no if I know I'm going to be respawned as soon as I get killed, it's like us playing Borderlands.
Yep.
It's an inconvenience that you got killed, but you don't care because hell, I'm about to be right back. You go through the little spiral and you're right back.
It's like Mr. Sinister. You know, he even in that one issue, he was there. You know, there was like umpteen dozen of him on the set.
Yeah.
Do that with Apocalypse. You know.
Then when Happy Fun Time Nimrod multiplied and it's 5 of you, aha! There's 5 apocalypses. Fair fight.
And that's the trick is, you know, when you see the future time where it's like, well, mutant population's been beat down to the point you kind of go, wow, how?
Now,
Other than they nuked the
if
joint.
you have 4 or 5 mutants that are required, and you can take a couple of them out, you could break the chain. What somebody knew you were doing.
You could, if you knew what they were doing, yeah.
But these bring this back up, the Thor Ragnarok storyline that I mentioned earlier. That was the whole thing. Thor found out Ragnarok is a cycle.
Yeah.
So it happens over. And his thing is, if we keep coming back, then our sacrifices are, the sacrifice is pointless. It's not a heroic ending. I'm going to give my people a heroic ending.
Yeah.
So he opens the gateway to let Serta attack Asgard, and then he goes and destroys the Fate's loom so they can't restart the cycle.
Yep.
It's very Viking kind of vibe to it. Yeah, my people are going to go out. This time it's going to mean something.
Yeah.
We're going to take out these things that feed on us as though we were not gods.
But that, Marvel's done that several times because the end that had Thanos in it where he was fighting Akhenaten, yeah, the end of that was supposed to be, death's been a revolving door in Marvel. And every time they come back, it cheapens them. So he was going to make it, Thanos became basically the ruler of the universe and went, death counts now. You die, you come back. Bullshit. As soon as somebody popular goes, they come right back.
Because you don't have, and this is something that has hurt Marvel for a long time. It's really why Marvel and DC are where they're at now. You do not have an editor-in-chief with the spine to tell his writers no.
No.
Yeah. Well, I want to kill off. No.
Well, the thing is, they're so dependent on cheap pops because they can't tell a damn decent story. As much as I was telling you when we came in the house, I like Hickman's story. It's not a good X-Men story. It's not. Some of the things that are quintessential, they need a Bible because it's just like the last Powers of 10 that kind of set you up to let you know what was going on. Hell, you had all the Sinisters and they were running around shooting each other in the head. Sinister bullets don't work on him. He's not a flesh and blood something anymore, and they had him there on Krakoa in this one. Sinister's not a mutant. Now, granted, you read Powers of 10, you know he betrayed him, but that's why. He's not a mutant. Sinister has never been a mutant. He's a human. Mm-hmm. He's a human that was obsessed with genetics that got in bed with Apocalypse, basically, and Apocalypse turned him into that. He ain't a mutant. That's like having Juggernaut run around on the thing. Juggernaut's not a mutant.
Yep.
Hell, truthfully, neither is Deadpool.
No.
They're people.
Yeah, they're people that were mutated.
Well, Deadpool had basically a mutant gene added to him.
Yeah, he had Wolverine's healing factor added to him.
Juggernaut, yeah.
Well, like I said, he's a mutate.
Yeah. But yeah, Sinister's, and that whole thing, and like I said, it does bite him in the ass, but you're sitting there reading it going, yeah, you really trust Sinister with that? Really?
You really trust Apocalypse,
Apocalypse makes sense, because the Apocalypse turn at the end of that book is really the only part of that book that makes sense. Apocalypse, because they challenge you. Because what you have is once you had Emma Frost basically muck with the minds of the UN to give them statehood, and then you have the villains show up. And Apocalypse is the last of them. You have Sinister, the Marauders, you have Exodus and Marrow, and truthfully, some of these folks that Hickman needs to explain, because you had like Implate show up. Implate eats mutants. Truthfully, so does Krakoa. Krakoa eats mutants. Proteus eats people.
You can clone 200 mutants a day. You just feed them a clone. You don't put a mind in it or anything sick. Dude, do you see this? Do you just see this being something they wouldn't do in this story?
No, truthfully.
You are not dealing with heroes in this story.
Yeah, that is true. They are amoral as hell. But the trick is, Apocalypse showing up actually is the part that makes sense.
Yeah.
Because he flat out goes, this is what I wanted for you all the time. You are finally the strong. I'm home. You don't have, I will abide by your laws. I will do all that because you have I couldn't be more proud of you.
My job is done.
You are the strong. Amoral is motherfucker. But you're the strong.
Well, see, speaking in D&D terms, Apocalypse is that lawful evil kind of thing. He'll do evil things, but he was doing it for a reason.
He has his own code or his own reasons.
Yeah,
that kind of
he wanted mutants to be the dominant, if not the dominant species, but
he wanted them to earn it.
Yeah, earn it, protect your own.
And the trick
this is our kingdom.
And the trick is when you read some of Apocalypse's stuff, Apocalypse ain't that racist. When you go, well, he wanted mutants to be strong. Apocalypse appreciates strength.
Yeah.
Period. Because Moses Magnum was not a mutant. He took Moses and gave him power. He appreciates strength. It didn't make a difference whether you were a mutant or not. He just didn't want you to be no punk.
Yeah.
He ain't down with that.
Yeah, that's like the Horsemen that he created back in the 80s run.
Now they were all mutants. But yeah, that was, but Moses was one of them. Dude, he just liked he liked his grit. And saw him in a position where he was dying, because he was a Power Man Iron Fist. They knocked him down into a shaft. And Apocalypse took him and went, I give you power. And he went, evil.
He had the mental.
He liked strength.
He had the mental fortitude.
Yep.
That Apocalypse appreciated. He's like, but he needed the physical power.
Yeah.
Let's see what you do with that.
Yeah.
Isn't that when he went out and tried to sink Japan?
Yeah. And slapped the X-Men around like they wasn't shit. Because when Apocalypse got mad at him for basically not swinging hard enough, he took his control of it away. So he had it, but you had, last time he popped up was in Avengers, and it was like he couldn't set foot on solid ground, or threatened to swallow him. He took his control of the shit away. But, that's neither here nor there.
Yeah.
Apocalypse being cool with that, I can see it. Hell, even if you win Apocalypse is evil, shit, so are they.
Yeah, well,
That's why
I use the reference of lawful evil. Everybody looks at the acts that he does as evil, but he has a code. It's not like he's going out there, Sabretooth is more chaotic than anything. I mean, it's like,
well, Sabretooth's a serial killer.
Yeah, he's a serial killer. But if Apocalypse kills somebody, he has an agenda to it.
He doesn't just start, unless it's very specific, he doesn't go and start plagues and that kind of thing particularly.
Right. Where Sinister actually does. But yeah, that kind of thing is one of those where every time I think Hickman's got me going, okay, I'm cool with the X-Men. He has them do shit that's so morally
ambiguous.
It ain't even ambiguous. Emma Frost they realized the UN vote was not going to go their way, so she fixed their mind. And Xavier basically goes, well,
And to me, that's
when you do
plot hole.
something like that, it's going to come back to haunt you. We appreciate your sacrifice. That's literally what he he says, because she wants to be like a governor or something like that. He's like, hell, that's low compared to the plans I have for you. The end of the book shows the different nations that voted against mutant statehood. One of the ones that was interesting is Wakanda.
Yep.
Wakanda went nope. And because you had the states that voted against it, and the reason Wakanda stands alone in theirs, because their thing was, we give you cocoa plants that fix Alzheimer's, extend your life by 5 years, and an antibiotic that cures all infections. And Wakanda's reasoning, we don't need mutant drugs. I looked at it as T'Challa knows an attempt at domination when he sees it.
Yep.
For me, it's a bit of a plot hole, though, because you have got technology out there to protect people from telepathy. You've got ways of jamming that. And they know they're dealing with groups. The world's most powerful telepath is running them. This chick's probably number 2, and she's in the room with us. No.
Yep.
Either you're going to have some kind of protection there, or they're going to be voting from isolated locations online or something.
Yep.
They've dealt with mutants too long to fall for that.
Yeah. The trick is, though, it's the overall thing when the whole backup of the story is, yeah, the one you're watching is still doomed to fail because humans aren't the real enemy there. Mutants aren't the real enemy there. It's the AI that they create that's going to take everybody's ass over and have your ass in a zoo.
Yeah.
It's the AI. The AI is the problem. And nothing that they've done. Because that's kind of the trick is that how that story ends because you've seen the future.
Yeah.
And they fucked.
If Power of 10 and House of X are covering the same one of Moira's lives. Because it's like they were getting, it's like in Power, the couple I read, it was like in Power of 10, they were getting the information on when Nimrod comes online, but then in House of X is when they're acting on that information.
Yeah. Yeah, it's all kind of screwy, but it's still one of the kind of things where you go, the humans are going to do it again. They need to, because that shit that the mutants in the Hickman run are so damn amoral at best. They should be making symbols. I'd be making symbols. Like I said, it's very telling that T'Challa's Wakanda voted against that shit, and he's fucking Storm. The last issue of Black Panther, she's in the Hickman outfit. She's been hanging on Krakoa, and she comes because when he comes home, yeah, she is fucking him, and he still went, nope. You keep your shit.
You may be the queen, but
she ain't the queen now because the divorce and all that is. But that's his girlfriend. That's his boo. His people look at her, as queen, like they ain't divorced and shit. But Wakanda went, nope. Mm-mm. You keep that shit. Because the trick is they've seen colonizers before, and that's literally what. Yeah, I wouldn't trust that Charles Xavier as far as I can throw him. He is him and Magneto are very ultimate.
I was about to say, this Charles Xavier reminds me of the one from the Ultimates.
Yeah. He is very ultimate.
I'm reminded of one of them going, yeah, was it Nick Fury, if I didn't know better, I'd say you were, messing with it. It's like, every time I see him in that Cerebro helmet, it's like, yep, because, when he sends the team on that mission, it's like he does something to Scott, go, oh yeah, you're going to go kill you, die.
Well, the whole thing was, I know you're scared, but you're the founder of a nation, and you'll never die, because people remember the founder of a nation. It's like, well, hell, you ain't going to die because you bring motherfuckers back from the dead. Hell, you can throw yourself in a wood chipper. The only kind of sacrifice for that is the you that's running around. If they do it like Doctor Who, where it's like, yeah, it's you, but it ain't the real you. It's a copy of you that's running around that thinks it's you. Then there's a sacrifice because technically you're dead.
Mm.
You know, Wolverine jumped into the fucking sun. That's the end of that one. And the Wolverine you got running around now, you know, is from whenever Chuck took his last copy. That's him. So, you know, you're dead, but you live on kind of thing. That's the only way. That's really the only way they can fix that there's any kind of sacrifice. Because if they just respawning, who the hell cares?
Yep.
So, that's been our time. I am not, like I said, it's one of those kind of things. It's a good story.
It's just got holes in it.
It's a good story. It's not a good X-Men story. And you know, I know it's mad popular with people like, oh, it's a good story. It's just not a good X-Men story. It's kind of for me, it's the flip of Al Ewing's Immortal Hulk. Immortal Hulk took the whole Hulk mythos and turned it on its head.
Yeah.
But it's a Hulk story.
It's a horror story.
Well, it's a Hulk, not a horror story. It's a Hulk story. He sits there and takes that, and you go, man, this is Hulk done as a horror comic, but it's still a Hulk comic.
Yeah.
It fits with the rest of the stuff that you read because he'll go back and go, well, this is what you saw, and this is why this happened like it did. That fits. Hickman's X-Men, they don't act right.
Mm-hmm.
No, they
They
don't
don't feel like
all had their mind mucked with.
or something. Even facing extinction, you kind of sit there and go, well, damn. You know, they aren't good enough people, at least for me, to feel for them. It's like I've said on one of the other things. If you go, this system is evil, and I'm fighting the system, I'm right there with you. Tear that son bitch down, build something decent, fair from the ashes. If you're going, this system is fucked up, but I'm cool with it, I just don't like my place in it, and I'll be the oppressor instead of the victim, then you as fucked up as the people, and that's what they've gone with.
Yeah.
Hell, where they took out the mother mold, my favorite line in that is when the wife shotguns Cyclops in the face. You know, you killed my husband. I ain't taking prisoners today. Blam.
Yeah.
She wasn't wrong for that. So, you know. But now that you know, hell, she shotgunned him in the face and hell, he came back 48 hours later. Hell, who the hell cares? That story was all but pointless.
Mm-hmm.
Hell, truthfully, you just made the humans the underdog. Because when they die, they dead. When you die, you be back 2 days later.
Yep.
We come back just like Jesus, but quicker. You know, Jesus didn't come back till Sunday. We get you there by Saturday night. You can party.
No, Monday. Tuesday morning, you're good.
So anyway, that's been our show. That's right, end the show with blasphemy, damn it. Maybe we'll get 3 viewers now.
They'll report us to a church.
No, Satan will go, hey, I like where your head's at. So anyway, I'm the Todd Father. Joining me as always,
CDL 113.
And the experience, some call Jason.
That's it for this week. Like, share, subscribe, comment, complain, whatever.
Tell us what you want us to talk about.
I don't know, we should end this like the chick in Borderlands 3 does. Like, share, obey.
That'll work. See you next week.
Peace.